Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let me start with something uncomfortable, something most men feel but rarely admit. The man who cares the most often loses. The man who gives the most attention is often the one she slowly stops respecting. And the man who tries the hardest to prove his love is usually the one she walks away from first. If that truth stings a little, stay with me, because what I'm about to explain might completely change how you see women, attraction, and even yourself. Before we go deeper, take a second to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you're a man who wants to understand female psychology, relationships, and the hidden dynamics most people never talk about, this is exactly where you belong. Now listen carefully. One of the most confusing experiences men report to me as a psychologist is this. They treat a woman well, they show interest, they invest emotionally, they prioritize her, and somehow she becomes distant. But the man who barely texts her back, the one who seems emotionally unavailable, the one who doesn't chase, that's the man she can't stop thinking about. It feels unfair, it feels irrational, but it's not random. What most men don't realize is that attraction does not grow from comfort alone. Attraction grows from tension, curiosity, and emotional uncertainty. When a woman feels that she fully understands a man, when she knows exactly how much he values her, when there is no mystery left, something subtle begins to fade inside her mind. Not love, not appreciation, but the emotional spark that keeps her chasing. And here is where many good men make the mistake that slowly erodes their attractiveness. They believe love means proving their value constantly. They believe reassurance strengthens desire. They believe devotion automatically creates attraction. But in female psychology, attraction often grows in the opposite environment. Women are deeply emotional investors. Their minds are wired to pursue what feels slightly out of reach. When a man appears fully devoted too early, the challenge disappears. The emotional game ends before it even begins. So the strange paradox appears. The man who values her the most becomes predictable. And predictability in the early stages of attraction quietly kills excitement. Most men believe attraction works like a reward system. If you give love, you receive love. If you show loyalty, you get loyalty back. If you invest emotionally, she should naturally invest too. That belief sounds logical, it sounds fair, but human attraction rarely follows fairness. In female psychology, attraction is far more emotional than transactional. A woman doesn't simply measure what a man gives her. She measures how a man makes her feel about herself when she's around him. And strangely, the men who seem slightly detached often trigger the strongest emotional reactions. Think about the moments when someone becomes truly unforgettable in your mind. It usually isn't when they gave you constant certainty. It's when you felt a mixture of curiosity, tension, and a little bit of unpredictability. The human brain becomes obsessed with what it cannot fully solve. Many women experience this same psychological loop with men. When a man constantly proves his devotion, constantly reassures her, constantly prioritizes her above everything else, the emotional mystery disappears. Her mind no longer needs to wonder. There is no puzzle left to solve. And when curiosity fades, emotional intensity quietly fades with it. This is why some women become deeply fascinated by men who don't appear desperate for validation. It's not because women enjoy being treated poorly. That's a common misunderstanding. What actually happens is that emotional independence signals strength. A man who does not constantly seek approval communicates something powerful without saying a word. He signals that his life is already full. His happiness does not depend entirely on her reaction. And paradoxically, that independence makes his attention feel more valuable. Attention from someone who needs you feels predictable. Attention from someone who chooses you feels rare. Women, often unconsciously, respond strongly to that difference. When a man seems emotionally self-sufficient, his validation carries weight. When he shows interest, it feels earned rather than freely given. And when something feels earned, the brain attaches more value to it. But when a man offers endless validation without emotional balance, the dynamic quietly shifts. Instead of feeling chosen, the woman begins to feel like the center of his world, And strangely, that level of certainty can remove the excitement that once made her heart race. Here's the hard truth most men will never admit to themselves. Being overly available, overly caring, overly devoted too early isn't love. It's a trap. A trap that erodes attraction without you even realizing it. I've seen it countless times in my practice. Men with genuine hearts, men who want to love fully, end up in relationships where they are emotionally exhausted, unappreciated, and slowly sidelined. And it's not because she's cruel or manipulative, it's because the dynamics of desire work against predictability. Women are wired to seek emotional investment, yes, but not unconditional, instant, or excessive investment. Their desire peaks when they feel they've earned it, when they are unsure, when the connection feels dynamic rather than static. When a man invests everything at once, without mystery, without challenge, he unintentionally signals that there's nothing to pursue. And the spark, the very force that makes her heart quicken, quietly dies. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care. It doesn't mean you should play games or be cold. It means you need to understand how emotional energy flows in attraction. Women are drawn to men who balance availability with independence, warmth with boundaries, investment with restraint. The strongest attraction emerges when a man demonstrates that he has his own life, his own value, and isn't entirely dependent on her approval. Think about the last time someone captivated your mind. Chances are it wasn't someone who poured themselves into you from day one. It was someone whose presence felt earned, someone who carried a sense of autonomy that made every interaction feel alive, unpredictable, and meaningful. That's the paradox. Women desire the men who, at first glance, seem to care less, but in reality are capable of caring deeply, just wisely. Many men misinterpret this as rejection. They feel frustrated, confused, even unworthy. But the truth is far more empowering. The women who truly respond to this dynamic are the ones worth your time. They are the ones who will engage with your emotional depth when it's delivered with purpose, timing, and value. If you understand this, you stop chasing, you stop over-investing, and you start creating a magnetic presence. You stop asking for her attention and start making it earned. And suddenly, the woman who seemed distant, uninterested, or inconsistent becomes drawn to you in ways that feel effortless, natural, and inevitable. Now, let's go deeper into why this happens on a psychological level. Women are biologically and emotionally wired to respond to scarcity, not in a cruel way, but in a way that ensures survival, emotional stimulation, and long-term security. Scarcity doesn't mean ignoring her or being unkind. It means that your value isn't freely given, your attention isn't endless, and your emotional energy has limits. When a man invests everything without restraint, he removes the natural tension that the brain craves to generate desire. Here's the invisible truth. Desire is not built on certainty, it's built on emotional friction. Friction doesn't mean conflict. It means challenge. It means intrigue. It means there's a part of her mind that says, I don't fully understand him and I want to. When you are fully available, fully understood, fully predictable, you remove that friction. And without friction, excitement fades. That's why some men, who might be perfect partners on paper, feel invisible in the game of attraction. They remove the very tension that triggers her emotional pursuit. This is also why women often unconsciously test men. Not because they want to manipulate, but because they are assessing whether a man's attention is earned, whether his emotional resources are limited, whether his desire is genuine but not desperate. When a man fails these subtle tests by giving too much too quickly, he inadvertently signals low status and low self-possession. His value in her eyes diminishes, not because he isn't good enough, but because he has nothing left to prove. Here's what creates magnetic attraction. A man who is emotionally present, but selectively so. A man who invests, but keeps his life, passions, and energy intact. A man whose attention feels earned rather than guaranteed. That's when her mind starts chasing. That's when the invisible pull strengthens. That's when she begins to truly see him, not just as someone who exists to serve her needs, but as a man of depth, independence, and unspoken power. Understand this and the dynamic flips. You no longer need to beg for attention, constantly reassure, or overinvest. Your life, your purpose, and your energy become the framework in which attraction grows naturally. She starts to notice you more, desire you more, and value you more, not because you changed who you are, but because you finally stopped giving your power away too early. This is the invisible psychology of why women often want men who don't overtly value them at first, but in reality are the men who value themselves most. Now, let's confront the part most men struggle to admit. Wanting to be needed doesn't create attraction, it can destroy it. When you center your emotional world around a woman's approval, when your self-worth becomes tied to her reactions, you've stepped into a trap disguised as love. The more you try to prove your value, the less valuable you appear. Paradoxical, right? Yet it's the reality of female psychology that most men never learn. Here's why it works this way. Women are drawn to men who carry their own weight emotionally, who have lives, passions, and standards independent of her. When a man's validation is guaranteed, it loses significance. The brain craves what is rare and unpredictable, not what is constant and easy. Think about your own life. What do you chase hardest? The thing handed to you, or the thing you have to work for? Attraction operates the same way. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding human wiring. When a man respects his own energy, sets boundaries, and doesn't give himself away too quickly, he communicates something silent but powerful. He is a man of value, and value is magnetic. It's why some men, who don't text back immediately, who don't over-explain their feelings, who don't always say yes, become unforgettable. Women unconsciously recognize strength, independence, and self-possession, and that recognition sparks desire. Another critical factor is emotional contrast. If a man is always available, always reassuring, always accommodating, there is no emotional roller coaster. Desire thrives on highs and lows, subtle push and pull, and emotional tension that keeps her engaged. You don't create attraction by being perfect or endlessly attentive. You create it by being consistent in your values, unpredictable in your presence, and intentional in how you invest emotionally. This is the moment where men realize the uncomfortable truth. Attraction doesn't reward the man who sacrifices himself for approval. It rewards the man who values himself first. The woman who truly deserves your attention will notice your presence without your desperate pursuit. She will be drawn to your energy, not just your words. And for the first time, you'll see the dynamics of desire clearly, not as unfair, but as a map to understand and harness. If you grasp this principle, you stop over-investing emotionally and start cultivating a magnetic presence that naturally pulls women toward you. You stop chasing, you stop begging, and you start being the man women can't ignore. Here's the final truth that most men never hear. Desire is earned, not given. Women want men who are emotionally self-sufficient, who don't need their approval to feel complete, who value themselves above all else. And paradoxically, when you step into this mindset, when you prioritize your life, your goals, your passions, something remarkable happens. She begins to chase you. She begins to notice the parts of you that were invisible before, because now your presence feels rare, significant, and worth her effort. Think about it. The man who constantly validates, constantly pursues, constantly gives, he becomes predictable. Predictable is boring. But the man who holds his attention selectively, who keeps his life full, who demonstrates emotional independence, he becomes magnetic. Every word he speaks, every moment he invests carries weight. His energy is scarce, and scarcity drives desire. Women instinctively recognize that power, even if they can't articulate it. This isn't about games. It isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the psychological forces at play in attraction. It's about stepping into your own power as a man and refusing to hand it away too early. Because when you value yourself first, when your happiness is not contingent on her validation, you set the stage for the kind of connection most men can only dream of. A connection where desire is mutual, respect is deep, and attraction is undeniable. Many men miss this and live a life of frustration, constantly chasing, constantly questioning, and constantly feeling unappreciated. But when you internalize this truth, everything changes. You no longer settle for fleeting attention or superficial interest. You attract the kind of woman who sees your value, respects your boundaries, and responds to your energy rather than your desperation. So here's your takeaway. Stop giving your emotional energy away too easily. Stop seeking approval through constant devotion. Step into your life fully. Pursue your ambitions. Protect your energy. When you do this, you no longer compete for attention, you command it. The women worth having will not just notice, you will become the man she can't stop thinking about. This is the psychology women rarely explain, the truth most men never see, and the key to transforming how you experience attraction, desire, and relationships. Your value is not in what you give away freely. Your value is in how powerfully you carry yourself and the life you live with purpose. Master this, and the dynamics shift in your favor forever.